5 pursuit wyverns punched through the cloud bank in tight formation behind Astra, wings snapping like sails in storm wind, each dragging glowing binding chains that sparked against the air like industrial cattle prods. And Lara Chen looked back at the formation and shouted across the wind, "They planned for this," Astra answered grimly. "They are disciplined." The dragon banked hard. Fire streamed from its mouth in a defensive arc. A chain still clipped its wing. The impact jolted Lara forward, fingers tearing skin against scales, and Astra growled, "Hold!" A bolt of light exploded past Lara's shoulder and singed the ends of her hair black. She did not think. She opened the portal mid-air at 60 miles an hour and threw out a heavy industrial sack of cooking oil from her grandmother's restaurant pantry. The sack burst against the wind in a slick black rain. Lara screamed, "Now! Light it!" Astra ignited the cloud. The sky became fire. A 400-meter wall of orange and black inferno bloomed in mid-air behind them. 2 wyverns peeled away screaming, their chains burning loose. One lost control, spiraled downward, and disappeared into cloud, chains snapping behind it like a broken kite string. Lara laughed, half hysterical, half terrified. "That worked!" Astra rumbled. Again, she threw smoke powder, then salt, then the last of her Costco tarp. The air behind them turned chaotic, unreadable, weapon-blocking soup. Then Astra plunged downward without warning, dropping into thick green cloud cover so fast Lara's stomach pressed into her teeth. The forest below swallowed them whole, branches tearing, leaves exploding into shrapnel, and the dragon crashed hard into a clearing of moss and soil, skidding 20 feet through wet earth. A creature the size of a small mountain emerged from between 2 ancient trees. Moss layered across its back like a forest's skin, vines curling from its shoulders like braids, smaller beasts grazing peacefully around its legs as if it were a slow walking pasture. And Lara Chen, sitting in the dirt where she had just crashed, whispered, "Is that farming?" Earlier, only minutes earlier, Astra had crashed through the canopy and skidded across moss and soil. Lara had tumbled off the dragon's back, knees buckling, lying flat in cool, wet earth that smelled like rain instead of blood. The young grey dragon had coughed out a feather and fallen over sneezing. They had not stopped running. They had pushed deeper into the forest until the sound of pursuit faded. Then, finally, Lara had slid off Astra's back and just sat there in the moss. The land was alive, bright, warm. The air smelled like earth and rain. Not iron, not ash. She had whispered, "No demons." Astra had folded its wings slowly and answered, "No humans either." Lara had exhaled the longest breath she had drawn since the rooftop. She had laughed, not a hysterical laugh this time, but unrecognizably free. Then the ground had begun to tremble. Not violently, rhythmically, like footsteps from something the size of a house. Astra's huge head had lifted. The dragon had said, "We are not alone." Now this. A mountain shaped like a beast, moving slowly through the trees, head turning toward them with eyes that were ancient and patient and not afraid. Astra rumbled, "It does not hunt, it cultivates." The mountain beast lowered its head. A vine curled outward toward Lara. It was offering her something. A vine the thickness of Lara Chen's wrist uncurled from the cultivator beast's massive shoulder and offered her a cluster of glowing roots that pulsed faintly with warmth in her palm, like small living hearts beating in a hand. And Lara, despite herself, stepped forward across the moss and took them. No blood, no death, just an exchange. She looked up at the creature, bowed slowly, the way her grandmother had bowed when receiving herbs from village elders. The cultivator beast bowed back, soil sliding off its mossy shoulders in slow waterfalls. A faint chime echoed in the air. the same chime that had rung at the salt lake. Lara whispered, "Did the world just acknowledge that?" Astra rumbled, "You have learned another way." She held the warm roots in her palms. "Soft, living, almost humming," she said, almost to herself. "I cooked for monsters. I cooked for hunters. I never cooked for someone who just gave." That night she set up a kitchen for the first time. Not a portable one, not a desperate one, a real one, a table that did not fold, a fire pit shaped by hand from river stones, herbs drying on string between two trees. The young grey dragon helped by stealing things and pretending it had not. Astra watched from the shade, unusually still. Lara cooked slowly now. No rush. She sliced the glowing roots thin, sautéed them in clean fat, and the aroma was clean, green, comforting. Nothing screamed in this food. Astra ate cautiously. Then the dragon relaxed. Its scales did not flare with violent power. They settled. Astra's massive breathing evened out, deeper than Lara had ever heard. The young dragon fell asleep mid-bite. Astra lay curled in the moss beside the fire pit at midnight, cobalt scales banked low and quiet, looking, for the first time since Lara Chen had met it, like something that could rest. The young grey dragon snored softly against her thigh, sore still on its snout. The cultivator beast had withdrawn back into the forest hours ago, leaving only a faint glow trailing the path like phosphorescent footprints. Lara, stirring a slow pot of broth, finally asked the question.
"Astra, do dragons settle?"
The dragon considered the question longer than necessary. Then it answered,
"We endure. We migrate. We rarely stay."
Lara, ladle still moving, asked.
"And now?"
Astra looked at the camp, at the fire, at the sleeping young dragon with sauce on its snout. The dragon answered.
"Now I am curious."
Lara laughed quietly into the broth. She said,
"That's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me."
She closed her eyes. She smiled. She had not cooked without an alarm clock in 6 years. She had not eaten without a deadline in 3. The roots she had sliced that day were still glowing faintly on the cutting board, casting a soft green light across her hands, like the only proof she had not made all of this up. She set the ladle down. She picked up her grandmother's silver chain at her throat and ran her thumb across the worn pendant. She looked into the fire and let herself realize for 1 second that she had not checked Slack in 23 days. The thought did not panic her. Across the clearing, in the deep dark, something else was watching her, and the watching had not started tonight. A black column of signal smoke rose against the green forest horizon at dawn, thin and deliberate, drawn by a hand that wanted Lara Chen to see it, and Astra's massive head snapped up from the moss, molten gold eyes locking on the column instantly. Lara had been sitting at the fire pit humming, the young grey dragon curled in her lap, vegetables roasting in herb oil. She had been singing under her breath, a phrase her grandmother used to hum while cooking at 4 in the morning. La 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 la. She paused. She looked up. She saw the smoke. She said quietly, "Of course they followed us." Astra, eyes still on the column, rumbled, "This land will not tolerate chains." Lara set down her wooden spoon, picked up the cleaver. She said, "Then neither will we." The forest went silent the way a forest goes silent only when something is watching. Birds stopped. Insects stopped. The young dragon pressed against her leg, ears flat. A figure staggered at the edge of the clearing. Fell. Lara gripped the cleaver tight. Astra moved first silent and fast, placing one massive claw between Lara and the fallen man without looking back. The figure was human, thinner than Lara, older, maybe 40, sunken eyes, salt and pepper beard, an apron stained with things that were not food. A heavy metal collar sat tight around his neck, etched with red runes that pulsed in slow, sick rhythm, with his heartbeat the runes flaring red on the inhale, dimming on the exhale. He gasped, raising one shaking palm. "Don't. I won't run." Lara stared at the collar, at the bloody marks where it had rubbed his skin raw for years. She lowered the cleaver 1 inch.